All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with topic number 4. It is the Clemson versus Syracuse preview. This is what we have all been waiting for. Want to know how the Tigers are going to fare this weekend up in New York, okay? So, what do we think, Morgan? All right. I'm going to let you go ahead and start us off with your preview of the game and we'll do our predictions at the end if you're cool with that.
I like it. I like it. Well, my first thing is I like the way that a lot of these college football shows, they say, what does Clemson need to do to be successful? What does Syracuse need to do? I think maybe Fox does it for Atlanta Braves games. So I wanted to do it in this sense as well. So what does Clemson need to do? What does Syracuse need to do? And what will actually happen, in my opinion? So the first thing is, what does Clemson need to do? They got to stop Mo Neal, really the only guy that is the heartbeat of their team. It's no longer Eric Dungy, that was their star quarterback and number one rusher. It is Mo Neal now, who is their number one rusher. And if you stop him, which Maryland was able to do last week, I believe you got a good chance of just really putting up a lot of points on them and stopping them from scoring any points. Tristan Jackson as well is their number one wide receiver, the guy who Tommy DeVito loves to go after. Tommy's not really being that savior that everybody thought, that awesome quarterback that everybody thought would fit the offense as well as what they expected. And so he kind of relies on that one wide receiver and relies on Mo Neal to back him up. If Clemson can stop those two players, specifically Mo Neal, I think they'll be successful. What do you think?
Well, first of all, as the host, it'd be a good idea to tell the co-host if you're going to kind of format a segment, in a certain way. So I'm a little thrown off by that. But, as far as Clemson, what they need to do to win the game, all right, they need to be prepared for Syracuse's tempo. Okay, it's bit us in the past. Brent Venables has struggled a little bit, guarding the tempo team, Syracuse in particular. Obviously, he likes to get his calls in at the last second. You see him, run around like a crazy person on the sideline trying to get his calls in. Once he sees what the offense is going to do, it's difficult with a tempo team. And, our team gets, defense kind of gets caught looking at the sideline sometimes. So it's a little bit difficult. Now they need to be prepared for that. I'm trusting him to get it done. He's seen it the past couple of years. It's kind of given us trouble. He's going to fix it this year. I don't think he's going to have any issues there for the most part. So, they may score a few points, but it's not going to be that big a deal. But the defense has to be prepared for the tempo, stop the short, quick passing game, that kind of thing. Clemson, they out talent Syracuse, plain and simple, by a lot. Pretty much like they do everybody in the country. So offense, they should be able to move the ball. Syracuse, as far as what they need to do to win, they need to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence. They have a couple of pretty decent defensive ends. Their line is not that bad, so they need to get the pressure. The reason they weren't able to get pressure last week against Maryland is because Maryland ran at an even faster pace than Syracuse. Maryland was running at an absolutely breakneck pace, which was completely negating the defensive line of Syracuse. Clemson doesn't run quite that fast. I think they're going to be able to get a little more pressure. Maybe make a couple mistakes, something like that. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to make a difference. But I think this game could be closer than people think, because I think a lot of people are going to overreact, to the big loss to Maryland last week. But I think the styles are a little bit different, and it's going to kind of lend itself to a little bit closer game.
Well, I would agree. I think Maryland does come out a lot faster. They just kept going at them for sure. But the formations and the style of play, the routes that are ran, and even the player personnel is better, and a lot of similarities too between Maryland and Clemson. So I think that it's not going to be good for Syracuse. What does Syracuse need to do? I put down pray. They're just going to have to pray, because the linebacking core, we heard, not going to be a big deal. We lost a couple of linebackers, not going to be a big deal. It is a big deal. They weren't able to stop anybody in the passing game or running game against Maryland. The offensive line, they lost a couple of offensive line. It's not going to be a big deal. It is a big deal. You're not able to get a running game going against Maryland. So there's some flaws there on the offensive line. There's some flaws there in the second level of the defense.
I think our offense is going to score some points. I think we're going to kind of get comfortable, just a little after halftime, and then kind of coast from there. I think they're going to be able to score a little bit. Like I said, the tempo gives us a little bit of trouble sometimes. I'm hoping I'm wrong on this point, but if you'll notice, when we make our picks, I'm kind of notorious for picking against Clemson in the spread for several reasons. First of all, it's a win-win situation. As long as Clemson wins the game, I don't really care. If they beat the spread, they just blew out a team. That's great for me. It doesn't really matter that I missed the pick. I'm cool with that. So I'm actually going to take Syracuse plus the 27.5 right here. It was 27.5 when I looked at it last. I'm going to pick Clemson 45, Syracuse 20. They're going to score a garbage touchdown at the end to cover the spread.
All right, I like that. So Syracuse scores a garbage touchdown to cover the spread, and I have to go with my heart again. I'm going with Clemson to cover the spread because I feel like that they have better personnel than Maryland, even though they're not as fast. I think they're going to come out and just destroy that Syracuse team at home. I don't think they're even doing college game day there anymore. I'm not 100% sure with that, but they were talking about it, but then now that they got just kind of destroyed by Maryland, it's kind of let them think twice on that. But I expect Clemson to go in, especially since I heard Dabo Swinney is playing that game that they lost in the locker room, and when they do their film study, and I feel like if he's hyping him up and showing them that, then I'm excited to see what the team will do with that kind of motivation. They don't want to come out. They want to prove people wrong, and this is one of those games where a lot of people feel like Syracuse can still cause problems with Clemson. But I even heard somebody call in to the Roar today that was an expert on the Syracuse side of things up there in New York, and he said, really, to be completely honest, probably the only people in New York that think Clemson is going to lose is inside that locker room. So even the fans kind of already are seeing the writing on the wall, and I think that Clemson's just going to go up there and prove what they can do against Syracuse. So I'm excited for the game. Obviously, I believe it's a later night game, right? Is it a 7 o'clock game?
It's 7:30. Yeah.
So I'm excited to watch it. It's going to be Clemson's first away game of the season, so we'll see what happens there.